vanilla. Try not to laugh.
Okay, I won't.
We might keep that and put it in the end.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. I know it's funny, right? Okay. Vanilla, cinnamon, pumpkin spice, and patchouli? What the heck is patchouli? Ladies and gentlemen, my guest in studio today is Tara Penna. Mm-hmm. Tara, introduce yourself.
Hi, Tara Penna.
Tara Penna, that's it. Show's over.
Get ready for the real estate show that takes you across the barriers and into the danger zone. That Bitchin' Real Estate Podcast with your host, Tenacious T.
Tara, what do you do? Who are you? And why are you so fabulous?
Oh, you're too sweet. I don't know about all that. So I am a fitness professional, I guess I would call myself. I mean, I've been doing that for a long time. So it's my main thing that I would say I do, like fitness training and meal planning, preparation, that kind of thing.
And in the pandemic world that we live in today, fitness is difficult. A lot of people are on shutdown. A lot of people can't get to the gym. And if they can get to the gym, they're still a little bit like, well, do I want a personal trainer? They're getting close to me. Where's the personal space? Mm-hmm. In your field of expertise, you're being called on to come to houses to do one-on-one training. Mm-hmm. Tell me how that's been for you this past year.
Well, I was working for a gym and it closed down in March, and then I was unemployed at the time. So it was just a instant thing, transition. So then I kept some of my clients and I would go to their home and I would do some virtual training. Yes. So luckily I have a few really good ones that are pretty solid, and I do a number of things for them. So it's not just, like a personal training session. It's a little more.
They say that the six-pack abs is really in what you eat, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, I do too.
I think so.
I've had 4 children, and I can attest it is exactly what you eat and how you spend that time.
And you look amazing for having 4.
4,
That's amazing.
The last were twins, and that was quite large. That is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today, because women have a different mindset than men. They go in there and they can push out the anger and they can push out the anxiety, and part of physical fitness is that. But as women, we are very emotional creatures, and we need that space to escape our stress and escape our anxiety. With what has been happening in the pandemic world, are you finding it more difficult to help your clients with that? And do you have solutions when it comes to that?
I would say it is difficult. I mean, for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. So it would be just being there somewhat socially, to help them. Like, you're more like a friend as well. You're not just like telling them what to do, so you're kind of their ear, their shoulder to cry on or whatever, that kind of thing. And then just a lot of, talking and support, emotional support, that I would say.
Yes.
And people look forward to that. You might look forward to doing that with someone because it might be someone different than your husband or your wife or your best friend,
I cannot work out with my husband. Drives me crazy. Because again, women's needs, and not to say that your only clients are women, but you are a woman who's been in the fitness industry for quite some time. Mm. And when you were first getting into it, I'm sure that you found there wasn't a lot of women physical fitness trainers or nutritionists.
Wasn't. Not at all. You're 100% right. It was mainly men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take me back to why you got into fitness and how that came about.
So for me personally, I think you saw my picture when I was pregnant. I gained a lot of weight with my son. So he's, I'm 5'2", 110 to 15 pounds.
Yes.
I was 200 pounds.
Oh,
which is
my
huge.
dear Lord.
Yeah, like
you were 2 of you.
It was bad. So I think that's what inspired me. I got really, and I was never big my whole life. Mm-hmm. That was just a pregnancy. That wasn't like an all life thing. So when I lost the weight, I think it kind of inspired me to help other women. And not only did I lose the weight, I had a C-section. So they're cutting you. I don't know if you had a C-section though.
My twins, I did have to have the C-section. And that was traumatic, not only from carrying twins, but having to recover from, that's a massive surgery. That's not a small little, it is a cut you open, take them out, and then have to repair everything again.
Yes.
How do you find that the depression after that? Because, you're looking at your body, you've gained all this weight, you have this beautiful child, but then you're like, oh my Lord, what do I do now?
Yeah, I don't know if I suffered like depression necessarily, but I was definitely felt different, like, because I was bigger. So, and I wasn't like that before. And I just remember certain things like going to a deli. And I remember one time getting like the number and the guy, like he helped a girl next to me that was like small. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I felt bad. So I remember stuff like that, but I wouldn't say I was depressed. I think maybe that's what helped me. I wasn't so focused on how I looked on the inside. I just knew there was going to be a day I would get to where I wanted to be, my goal, but I wasn't obsessed about it.
Good.
And I wasn't trying to take a shortcut or easy way out.
Yes.
And I think that is a problem, maybe a lot of women or men even. They always want like a fast, quick fix. I want to lose, I am 90 pounds overweight from my son, and I'm going to lose it in 1 month. It's never going to happen. No. So I'm sorry, it won't happen. So for me, I just kind of focused on, okay, I'm going to just do what I need to do. And it did really take, I want to say 2 years to lose 90 pounds. It seems like a long time, but it was his 1-year-old birthday. I remember I was probably a size 6. And that was, for me, that was big. I felt, okay, I'm a 6. I look it's normal, but I felt big
because your standard size is probably a 0 or a 1,
or 2,
correct?
A 1 or a 0. Yeah, so it was. I did feel like, okay, well, I probably want to go down a few sizes, but I was never obsessed about it. That's the thing. Like,
and society puts so much stress on us. And if I compare, from when I was in high school in the 80s, the kids, what they looked like then, compared to what they look like now, kids are in the gym at a very, very early age for that perfect body. And I'm sure as you started to get fit, and taking 2 years is the healthy way to do it, by the way. Take your time. You probably started to notice the movement when it comes to fitness and the almost obsession with a perfectly sculpted body.
I think it was kind of like that. And it was a little bit of trial and error. I didn't go to someone for help when I was overweight, so I kind of did on my own. That's why I was inspired to, I think, help. Because I kind of knew, okay, well, this isn't going to work. This is going to work. Or trial and error, and it really, a lot of it really was nutrition. I mean, I have to say, you can kill yourself in the gym and, hike every day, work out. But if you're not eating right, it's almost counter. And I don't mean eating to the point where you're obsessed with an eating disorder. That's not what I mean. I mean just being somewhat smart about what you eat, right?
Picking foods that are fuel instead of picking foods just because they taste good.
Yeah.
A lot of you know out there that her husband is Anthony Penna, and that's how I first discovered and started stalking her. Yes, I will admit it. Watching not only how intelligent you are, but also the things that you post to encourage people. And a lot of it is about nutrition. Again, in a pandemic world, we have to fortify our immune system. And food is key to that. How did you begin formulating what you would consider a nutritional program or a nutritional plan for yourself and then for your clients? What gave you that idea?
Well, for myself with the weight loss, I just, what worked the most was tracking my calories on something like an app, like a MyFitnessPal or something. So I knew what I was eating every day. And I did that for years. I'm not kidding, like years.
How important is that, do you think? Is that essential? Do we really need to write down everything that we're eating?
Not necessarily, no, because it's not going to work for everyone. Right. Everybody, you might be so busy and you might say, I am not going to sit. See, I can't, and I'm really busy too, but I feel like it's like certain times I might just track, okay, because I want to know what I'm eating, even during the holidays or certain things. And I don't care if I go over. It's not that I'm obsessed about the number, but it keeps me accountable. And then I know what I can and can't do. I know if I want to have a glass of wine or if I want to eat some chocolate cake. If it's within my range, I can do that. You know what I mean? But that's not going to work for everybody.
Yes. Anthony eats a lot of food.
He does.
And he talks about his crazy stuffed bread food truck. And he said to me that he'll bring home some crazy stuffed breads and you'll look at him and be like, nope, not doing that. Discipline is part of that too. Please continue to tell me how this evolved for you.
Yeah, so then that works for me. And then for clients, I got certified in nutrition. So I just learned different forms, for people, what works for them and what doesn't. But you have to, there's no cookie cutter thing, formula. And a lot of people online, actually, that's what they do. They, they're like these gurus and they sell these. I don't even know what I call it, but it would be kind of like a cookie cutter, right? Diet. And
there's about 5 million. There's the bean diet. There's the, I don't know, the what's the fancy one? I forget. Paleo. There's the paleo. And then, myself, I'm gluten-free and dairy-free, but that's because I found out what my body is not supposed to be eating.
Yes.
So, yes, when you're looking at all these fad diets, they never work, do they?
No. I would for some people maybe temporarily. It might be but then they might gain the weight back, right? So, or it might work for one person and not for the other. So you and I are best friends and you look great and I say, look, I want what you're on and I do what you do. It might not work for me.
Right.
It might, and I might, then I might get upset about it and say, why can't I look like her? Because,
she ate cake. Why can't I do that?
So that's why. So I think you do have to know, really everything, all of if they have sensitivities, if they have allergy, what their body type is, their age, are they sedentary? Are they active? Are they male? Are they female? They have hormone issues.
Yes.
There's a lot. And then I kind of get a little deeper with some of people I've helped with with their habits, because I know I have friends that are not going to stop drinking. They will never not drink, right?
Right.
So if I say to them, and I don't mean they're alcoholics. It might be like every night I have to have a glass of wine.
Yes.
Right?
And a lot of people will say that that's very therapeutic. One glass of wine is very therapeutic. But you're right. There are those routines that people are very reluctant to give up. And as a trainer, you have to work around that.
Yeah. So if you know that, if I know you're never going to give up that glass, so I'm going to add that to your bank, right? Or your calorie.
She will allow you to have that glass of wine.
And it works.
Yes.
Like when people will tell you, well, I've done this and I still kept my wine or I kept my one piece of chocolate and they still get results.
Yes.
You can do that.
Yes, you can.
So.
Again, I'm a big proponent of mental health along with physical health. And when working with your clients, and again, over the years, as you've been in this profession, have you seen that? Have you witnessed that? What does fueling the body correctly and then also strengthening the body with a routine do to someone's mentality and even with their business?
I think it helps big time. It's kind of known, it's almost like a mood enhancer, right? It releases endorphins, exercise does. So if you're having a bad day and you go for a quick brisk walk, anything, I think it helps, So I'm the type I have to work out in the morning and it helps my day, right?
Yes.
So it really does. And I'm in a good mood all day. And then there's times I can't and I might not feel as good, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
So
I'm similar. I don't talk to me until I've had my 2 cups of coffee. I work out in the afternoon though. I like to get my morning stuff out of the way and then have the freedom to take an hour or 2 in the afternoon, listen to my music, get creative, get to the gym, push out the anxiety and the stress. And if I miss it, it's very difficult for me. I
is.
feel it builds up, and it's almost like I forgot to do my homework and turn it in for school. For me, I am very accountable to what my body needs. And as a trainer, you can recognize when you develop that routine and how necessary it is to have it.
It is. And I would say it's different for everyone as well, again. So there might be someone that might thrive on working out. They're, like junkies. Like I would consider myself a gym rat or a junkie. I would work out 5 or 6 days, and that might make me happy.
Yes.
That's not going to make everyone happy.
No.
There might be a person who's never worked out a day in their life, and if they can commit to 2 days a week, that's great.
Yeah.
Because that's better than nothing. I guess they suggest that you do, if you're trying to lose weight, it's 250 minutes a week. But if you're not trying to lose weight, you should get 150 minutes a week of exercise. If you do the math,
So I'm trying to do the math. Okay, so 230 hours, 250 hours.
I know what it is.
Yeah, you tell me.
I do know what I know. So 250 minutes is 36 minutes a day.
Oh, well, that's
if
nothing.
you did 7 days a week. But
Yes.
you don't have to do that.
No.
You could, so say you did 4 and you divide it, it ends up being like 56 or something.
So you get on, and sometimes just movement, so just getting on the
Yes.
treadmill and doing a fast walk, a slow
Yes.
walk, even if it's just that, at least you're working the circulatory system, and,
Yes.
you're helping your body to more efficiently digest all of those lovely things that we're eating.
Yeah.
Let's go back real quick to, you had all this weight and you gained all this weight and you had your beautiful child, and a couple years later, you're getting back into the size you want. How did you get into natural fitness and fitness shows?
Okay, so that and that's something I said I would never do, and then I did. It was I had ran into a friend of mine, and she was competing, and we had known each other for years. Like when we were kids back in LA, we were 18, and we ran into each other, several years later, and she mentioned, "Oh, you really should do this. I want, I'm doing these shows and whatever." I'm like, "Nah, I won't." I wasn't interested. But then I said, "Yeah, I'll do it, whatever."
Yeah.
And so I did, and everyone said, "Once you do one, they're kind of addicting. You're going to want to do more." And I'm like, "No." And I did. I actually ended up doing, I think it was like 6 within 2 years.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
I've seen a few documentaries. Forgive me, I don't remember the names, but that year that you are prepping before your first show, and then if you're doing show after show, that is so hard on the body.
It is.
That you have to, 4 weeks before, you have to lean down and almost dehydrate yourself, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your first show.
That one was the worst.
Good,
worst
let's go.
experience. It was everything about it was horrible. So I think I over dieted. I was a trainer at the time, but at that time I didn't really know. I knew somewhat about nutrition, but I wasn't like,
the guru.
What I know. Yeah, I wasn't like, how I am now. But I did hire someone that was very old school. They did old school shows, and so the old school way was literally, I'm not kidding, eating like fish, asparagus, and that's it, like nothing, and egg white. And it was so bad and so harsh on my body. And when I knew enough that I would track the calories, and when I put it in, I'm like, it was like 600 or something a day or something. I go, "Are you trying to kill me?" Like here, it was, that's like literally like starvation. I'm like, there is no way I can survive. And I'm working out, I'm doing all these things, and I didn't even have energy. I was like the Walking Dead. I'm like, I cannot do this. So I realized that after the first one, like I didn't eat just what I did some more research, and I added some stuff to that, but it was I looked horrible. Everything about it was horrible. My tan, hair, all of it, because I had all the wrong advice. It was so bad.
So you went out there too skinny, very lean, orange skin.
Horrible. Yeah.
That's
ugly
awesome.
hair. The hair was horrible. And I'm like, so I think the second one was right after that. But it was I had dieted different, and I knew it was better. I did better and everything. And then after that, I think I did a third one. And then I had won that show also, and
Oh, wait. She
I
won
did
it
my-
also? Please.
well, I mean, because I won, I placed in all of them, but like
Good.
this one, I won like a pro card,
Good,
so I was
good.
able to compete professionally. So I traveled for those shows. After I got my pro card, I was able to go to California and Vegas, and
Nice.
I competed professionally. Then the very last one I did was the Natural Olympia.
Yes.
And then I was like, I'm done after I won. I was like, I don't need to do this anymore.
Yes.
What's the point? You know, at my age, and I felt happy I would know some of the people that had been competing, and they looked amazing. And then they wouldn't like ever win a show again. And I'm like, if you're not happy with yourself at this point in your
Yes.
life, I mean, why, you know?
This type of performance is very much like an athlete. You are preparing your body like an athlete, and you're probably watching the other competitors to see what areas of the body you still need to work on so that you can work and win that competition. Were there certain areas that were harder than others to get? Tell me. I'm so curious.
For me, it was I had to work on my glutes and legs. And also, and then so that was one thing. Okay, so your glutes and legs,
yes.
that you have to build that up. But
yes.
then they wanted a little bit even bigger upper body, like my back and which, shoulder. So I did, but then it's at a point where you are natural. I was natural.
Yes.
I wasn't using anything, and I was small. I still would never be as big as some of the other girls,
yes.
right? So it was kind of like, okay, well, these girls I don't want to look like that,
right.
and I'm not going to take something so that's where I was left. Am I
yes.
happy with myself,
yes.
or do I have to go to the other level? And I didn't want to do that.
That is a very important point that you just said. You were happy with yourself.
Yeah.
You were happy with where you're at, and you won. Mm-hmm. You won. You proved to yourself that you could do it. Mm-hmm. That fight within you came from something else, I would imagine.
Yeah. And it was what it was. Like, after that, it was like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what am I trying to prove?
Right.
There's nothing to prove or
right.
do. What is this,
And so what was the title of that show exactly?
That one was the Natural Olympia. The last
Natural
one, yeah.
Olympia winner. On stage, they've announced that you're the winner. You're holding your prize. Mm-hmm. How did that feel?
It was good. I liked it. I was never shy. So that's another thing. Like, I wasn't like super shy up there. Like, I didn't take it that serious,
Yes.
like I've seen girls cry.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen girls be like almost nasty to other girls. Like,
yes.
oh, she shouldn't have won. I'm so much better. And I'm like, well, she did. Like,
yes.
you know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is. Like, you can't.
On
get
that
upset.
day, the judges liked you. And that's the way it goes. Life is not fair.
Yeah.
That's so admirable, because I've been dabbling since I was 14 years old, and I'm almost 49 now. It's hard. It is very dedicated, especially glutes and thighs, to get them in the proper shape for a show. How did you wrap your mind around that type of dedication? I think for a lot of people, that's the most difficult part, because it's not easy.
No, it's not. It isn't. I think it was just my focus. I don't know, because I think about it now, and I don't feel like I could do it now. I really don't.
She could.
I don't know. I would there were times, so I would take my son to eat frozen yogurt, mm-hmm. and I wouldn't even eat it with him.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's like, I would be dying for a bite or something, but I wouldn't do it though.
Yes.
It's weird. I wouldn't cheat at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I could do that today. It would be really hard.
I bet you could if you really wanted to. But that is the epitome of the entrepreneur, the focus of an entrepreneur. I've had a lot of people on the show, and that is the one commonality: the focus, the not giving up, achieving what you needed to achieve, and then moving on to something else. Mm-hmm. So you briefly said 18 years old in LA. That's where you're originally from?
I'm originally from New York.
New York.
Yes.
Oh, she's a New York girl.
New York,
I love it.
Yeah.
So wait, New York, LA, how did that happen?
My parents moved me to Arizona when I was 17 from New York.
Yes.
So I grew up in New York. And we moved here at 17. I graduated high school, Chaparral High School.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
You guys, did you go to school
I went
here?
to Chaparral briefly. I'm a GED girl. That's all I'm going to say.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah, I'm
good,
a dropout.
okay.
I'm a high school dropout. Yeah.
Okay.
I do pretty good for a high school
You
dropout.
do. That's amazing.
Thank you. Anyway, it's about you, not me.
Okay.
So went to Chaparral and
graduated and went to school in California, college. So I left and because I hated Arizona at the time.
Really?
Yes, I love it. Absolutely love it now.
Yes.
I didn't like it. Coming from New York to Arizona at that age, I wasn't a huge fan.
Are we
Now I
boring
like it.
out here? Are we boring compared to New York?
I don't know about not necessarily. Yeah, maybe at the time
Yeah.
I would say it was more. It wasn't. It was like night and day.
You're seasoned enough to have recognized that New York clubbing, social hour is very different from us Westerners. So when you went to school in California, was it more similar to New York?
I loved California at the time. It was definitely not like New York, no. But I mean, yeah, they have a club scene, right?
Yeah.
And bars and all that, but different than New York. I would say New York was more like bigger, like huge, massive. You've been there, right?
Yes, I have. My family hasn't. I have. This is really embarrassing. I went there for 3 days to film on the Maury Povich show.
Oh, that's
a
so
long
funny.
story. We don't have time for that. But I was fascinated. I was walking around at night alone and wasn't scared.
See?
It just was, like you said, it's the Godzilla. It's bigger than life. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and there's a lot to do, and that you can do stuff at night,
Yes.
late night,
Like
walk around.
anything, pretty much. Yeah, and walk around. So what did you study in college? What was your focus?
So I didn't really, it just mainly liberal arts at the time. I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, and then the earthquake hit, and then I moved back. I was in sales, and then I moved back to Arizona after the earthquake.
So one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today is because of the pandemic, and even before that, there's a lot of people stuck in situations that they can't escape from. You had mentioned that you had this beautiful son from a previous relationship that was very difficult. Can you tell us maybe how you met and how that got into a situation that you were able to escape from?
I used to own a tanning salon in Scottsdale, so I own that. And I met there pretty much through the salon.
Yes.
So I met him, and we were together. It was a long, long drawn out thing. I mean, he went away for a while. He got in trouble and went away for a while to prison. I didn't have the baby then,
Right.
So this was in the beginning, and then when he got out, was in a relationship with someone else. I got pregnant, and then I had my son. But we weren't married when I had my son.
Yes.
I think we got married when he was, I want to say 6 years old, 5 or 6. So this went on for a long time. And then by 8 or 9 was our divorce. We weren't, together anymore. 9.
I actually had a previous relationship, and we knew each other for 4 days and got married. And over the period of 10 years, on and off,
Yeah.
I had my 2 older children. And there is just something about, for me, wanting to make it work.
Yeah.
Wanting to make it work because I saw something there, but that he was never going to see or understand. If we think about a family or women or even men today that are trying to make something work, but realize that deep inside it's not going to, what would be your advice to that? Would you have ended that relationship sooner had you have had the strength to do so?
Well, yeah, I think people try to, and then there's sometimes these there are people that are very manipulative, and they like lure you back in somehow.
Yes.
We're a lot younger, and more naive back then, and maybe you do believe the things or the lies that people tell you, right?
do.
Like,
You do.
guys will say, "Oh yeah, I've changed," or "I'm this," and they have a really unique way of reeling you back in,
Oh, yeah,
right?
they do.
So I don't think I could tell a person, like if I had a friend, and I do know people that are in these situations, I don't know if I could say, you have to leave because they don't listen. Like
Right.
they don't listen. So I
Right.
don't know if I could say it. I don't know. It's like a tough one, right?
It
What do you
is.
say? Like,
It is a very tough situation because as an outsider, you see certain things, you recognize certain
Yeah.
things. And for me, it was looking at my then 1-year-old baby and my 2-year-old baby and saying, I don't want them to experience this anymore. For me, it wasn't so much about me. It was about taking my children out of a situation that was nasty.
well, that is a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do want, but then a part of a parent or a mom sometimes almost feels guilty. Like that's how I would be. Like almost like, well, my poor child is going to grow up without a father or something.
Right.
You know, that's what I think a lot of women might think.
Yes.
So is it better to not be with, now I know, it's better
Yeah.
not to be with a person that's
Yes.
abusive or any of those things when you have a child. But then there's a part of the person in the relationship that's thinking, it's worse for this child to grow up
Yes.
without one, right?
Yes.
I don't know. It's a tough.
You hear that over and over again. Well, you've had a child and you have to stay with them for 18 years and you got to figure it out.
No.
But there's no point in staying with someone in an abusive situation if you can't even love yourself or find yourself in it. If you're a miserable person, then you're a miserable parent.
Yes.
And you don't want to teach your child misery. You want to teach your child joy.
Yes.
You had to make that decision. And was it based on wanting to teach your son something else?
Yeah.
Show him something else?
I think so. I always thought of my son's happiness or well-being though too. So
yes.
I would communicate with him, like, what do you think about this or what? Like, I would never bring a man around my
Right.
son. Anthony will tell you that. Like,
Yeah.
he didn't meet my son for 6 months. Like, I
That's
think it was
awesome.
or 7 months. I mean, it was a while. So, and I don't believe Adam has ever met anyone because I would never do that, you know?
So you kept your relationship pretty open as to your feelings, for him to express his feelings about what he's feeling about what you're doing
Yes.
at a certain time.
Yes. I was a single mom the whole time. I got pregnant as a single mom, you know?
Gotcha. Okay.
And we never were together. And then for some reason, after my son started school, he would would always say, why aren't you and daddy married? You know, he just knew we were together,
Yes.
but off and on. And then we ended up doing it between him and my mom. I felt like they almost forced me into this.
Yes.
And so I did it, and it was silly, actually, if you think, because I was already alone. So
Yes.
what was the point of getting married and then being alone again? You know, it was kind of like that.
It is that societal pressure. You know,
Yeah.
you're raising a son. You have to show your son, they need a father. They need a family, setup so that
Yeah.
they can survive and be the best that they're going to be. And that's completely not true.
Yeah.
I truly believe that the best way for a child to be able to grow up to their capacity is to be a joyous parent. I use that word a lot. So you had that in place as far as a little bit of a family unit, but the pressure of family and society, you said, okay, I got to make this a married thing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what was at 6. But
Yeah.
it was like 5 or 6. And then because by the time he was 8 or 9 was when we were, it was done. We were.
So how did you, obviously you had a business going already before you had your child. Is that what you kept going as a single parent? That's a frightening thing to a single parent, single mother, single father. If they're going to make this separation, how do you juggle work and parenting and supporting and feeding and clothing? How did that work for you?
I basically worked 2 jobs. I did whatever I had to do to take care of my son. I bartended. I did a bunch of stuff.
Whatever she had to do, and that's key. That is key. Bartended. Where did you bartend at?
I did special events, like just mainly, like all over, probably. I mean, just on weekends, and then I would work during the week. So I worked a lot, and then I was able to take care of him.
Intelligent, strong, courageous, gorgeous, New York kind of gal, Tara Penna.
At sundown, come down.